Hey folks, welcome to T is for Tiny. This week I need to decide on the species of tiny home to build.
Like this refrigerator. Let's see if we can do this for some tiny homes.
I'm gonna find the right type of home for me based on my budget and my motivations. I'm a designer building my first home, and this is episode 3.
Okay, so last week I really dived into what made me tick and listed out my motivations for building a tiny home. I then took those motivations and created a quick mock-up of a tiny home. It was fun having to play and creating something first, but for me to progress, I need to decide on the type of tiny home I'm going to build.
The first thing I did to help me identify the species was list out what I knew about tiny homes. I then called my friend JP, who lives in a house and has gone through this process, to get his perspective.
These are the 3 categories we came up with, but it wasn't quite enough, so I jumped onto YouTube because it's an absolute plethora of tiny home tours. And I started classifying the different homes I found. To find the real price of things, I rummaged through classified ads. This turned out to be a great place to start because I could find the true value of the things I'd want to buy. In the interest of congruity and easy to followness, here's that list redrawn, reordered, and explained in a little bit more detail. What I've found so far is that tiny homes are built to match anyone's lifestyle and budget. So I'm going to give the range of the prices I've seen and also what I think I can build it for if I do it myself here in Australia. Our first species can be built for $500,000 to $150,000. These homes are usually constructed in situ, with cement or poles dug into the ground. I consider it if I already had my own property or if I had friends that were happy for me to build on their land. But I don't, and the thought of being stuck in one location just tickles no fancies for me. I reckon one of these will take me 50 grand and around 6 months to build. And so this one gets the first cross. The next species are temporary structures which can be broken down and moved, ranging between $30 and $30,000. For me, maybe $10,000. I'm not too keen on them because it's difficult to secure them in case I travel, and 10 grand is about halfway to a rigid home on wheels. Other reasons include their lack of insulation. If I wanted to move on, I'd have to pack up the tent, my possessions, get a truck, and go to the new location. If I'm doing this every year or so, I imagine this would just become a hassle. So this one also gets a cross. Now we move away from dwellings, going on to fixed and detachable trailers. Let's do detachable first. $10,000 is what a brand new trailer costs here in Australia, with the entire home costing $10,000 to $90,000. While doing research, I didn't come across any trailers I could rent, and so this detachable species became less and less attractive. It's also a hassle because Australia is massive. Having to rent or borrow a truck and trailer and get it back to where it came from. In my mind, it does seem viable, but I'm gonna give it half a cross for now, leaving fixed trailers like these ones as a viable option for my budget of $30,000. Fixed trailers, just like detachables, also cost $10,000 to $90,000, and for me, I could build both of these for $30,000.
Right, so what about the last species, the ones that use vehicles? This is where my decision gets a little tougher. Let me explain the last 2 and I'll get into it. A side note about trucks. In Australia, trucks are these vehicles. I understand trucks are called something different in other parts of the world. You'll get the idea as I start explaining it a bit more.
The inbuilt species is where a home is built inside a vehicle. It becomes a part of the vehicle. There are some absolutely awesome houses like this worth checking out. This species also includes boats, normal cars, and aeroplanes. These builds seem to range from $1,000 to $150,000. I reckon for myself it would cost $30,000. The last species, demountables, change location by sitting on the vehicle. This seems common for commercial practices like shipping containers, mobile offices, and food storage. There are also a few different camping setups like this, and more tiny home-esque builds like these ones. This species is almost identical to detachable trailers, but can cost a lot more because of the trucks. For me to build one, I reckon 30 grand is what I'd need.
Okay, so where does this tough decision come in? It's great I've narrowed down to 3 species and determined that they will cost me similar to build. Another cool thing is I've noticed my preference for space that's 6 by 2.5 meters, whether it's fixed, inbuilt, or demountable. But to choose, I need to find out more about each one. Things like vehicle hitching options, weight limitations, how the home's appearance will affect where I can park it, maintenance, and what is safest for DIY that I'm planning. This seems to be a super important part of the process. I'll leave this for next week's episode. If I've missed any homes or species, or you feel they need to be better categorized, email or comment below. Links to my research can be found as well, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.